Hello and welcome back to the Elsie McClure version. Today we are in Hebrews 11. Just a little quick recap. In Hebrews 10 was talking about basically walking out the walk and having full assurance in God, but also not taking grace for granted. So all of Hebrews has been like setting up Jesus for who he is and like the legal argument behind him. Like the legal argument saying he is who he says he is, right? And so that's what the context is. We are going to read verse 38 and then we're going to go straight into chapter 11, okay? Verse 38 of chapter 10. But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who have faith and preserve their souls. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Let that sink in. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for. So you are assured in what you hope for. And the conviction, the knowing, the understanding of the things not seen. For by it the people of old received their commendation. For by it the people of old received their commendation. By faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. Right? So in faith, you didn't see these things happen, but you know they happened, right? But faith is also in hope. That's why, like, faith and hope have to intertwine. You can't have one without the other. By faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which he was commended as righteousness, God commending him by accepting his gifts. And through his faith, though he died, he still speaks. By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death, and he was not found because God had taken him. Now before he was taken, he was commended as having pleased God. Verse 6, and without faith it is impossible to please him, God. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists, and that he rewards those who seek him. Right? Seek first the kingdom and everything else will be added to you, right? You have to have faith to believe there's God and to draw near to him. Verse 7, by faith Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. By faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going, right? By faith he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. By faith Sarah herself received power to conceive even when she was past the age, since she considered him faithful who had promised. Therefore, from one man, and him as good as dead. I do love that they never mention like Sarah's like age, and yet the writer of Hebrews is like, listen, Abraham was as good as dead. Sarah, though, she was just past the age. But Abraham, he was as good as dead. So funny. Were born descendants as many as the stars of heaven, and as many as the innumerable grains of sand by the seashore. These all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. So that's like realizing the earth is your temporary home. This ain't where we're meant to stay, right? Verse 14. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of that land from which they had gone out, they would have had opportunity to return. So the writer's saying they could have turned back. They didn't. Why? But as it is, verse 16, they deserve a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. By faith Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises was in the act of offering up his only son, of whom it was said, through Isaac shall your offspring be named. He considered that God was able to even raise him from the dead, from which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back, right? So he was ready to sacrifice it, which this is like, we can see that in our own life when we sacrifice the things we want, or the things we desire, realizing God has something better. Like, if it's not this, God, then I know you have something better. So I'm willing to lay this down at your feet because you have something better, right? Verse 20. By faith, Isaac invoked future blessings on Jacob and Esau. By faith, Jacob, when dying, blessed each of the sons of Joseph, bowing in worship over the head of his staff. By faith, Joseph, at the end of his life, made mention of the exodus of the Israelites and gave directions concerning his bones. That's true. Why did they know? Right? In faith. Verse 23, by faith, Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by his parents because they saw that the child was beautiful and that they were not afraid of the king's edict. Crazy to hide your kid because he was beautiful, but I'm sure that's just like less like beautiful and more so like they saw life worth keeping. They cherished life and they cherished God. And they respected God and revered God. And so they went with God, not what Pharaoh said. By faith, verse 24. By faith, Moses, when he was grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to be mistreated with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. By faith, he left Egypt, not being afraid of the anger of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. By faith he kept the Passover and sprinkled the blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn might not touch them. See, faith. 29. By faith the people crossed the Red Sea as on dry land, but the Egyptians, when they attempted to do the same, were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled 7 days. By faith, the Rahab, the prostitute, did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies. And what more shall I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, of David, and Samuel, and the prophets. Low-key, Barak, though, that's the whole story of Deborah. He actually lacked a little faith. That's why the battle was given to Jael, right? She's the one who stuck the tent peg through the king's head, right? And it's so interesting because you see all these people that are mentioned and you're like, but Gideon didn't have faith, right? He didn't at first. And Samson, I mean, there's just all these different things that happened. And I think what, the point is like, if you look at these characters of the Bible, not a single one of them did it perfectly, right? There's always things you can look at. Like Abraham, he lied and cheated on his wife, right? Lied multiple times. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Moses, coward, right? Didn't trust God all the way. And so many things. Each one had issues, right? Because these were all supposed to be reflections of who Jesus is, right? In the sense of, you get to see how broken men are, and yet God still calls them his own. It should relieve you. David was a man after God's own heart. That dude had so many freaking problems. Oh my gosh. He was lazy. He committed adultery. He was a murderer, right? I'm sure he lied. He did. Like, he was a violent man. And yet somehow he was a man after God's own heart. So, you know, it kind of is relieving because it's like, man, you're never too far from God. And he views broken people as people that he loves. And I think that's beautiful. And it should relieve you because you're never too far, right? Anyway, so to finish up 32, of David and Samuel and the prophets. 33. Who through faith conquered kingdoms, enforced justice, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions. I mean, Daniel isn't even mentioned. That's just other prophets. Quenched the power of fire. That's Elijah, I think. Escaped the edge of the sword, were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release so that they might rise again to a better life. Others suffered mocking and flogging and even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were killed with the sword. They went about in skins of sheep and goats, destitute, afflicted, mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy, wandering about in deserts and mountains and in dens and caves of the earth. And all these, though commended through their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God had provided something better for us, that apart from us they should not be made perfect. Dang. And they never received what was promised. I think the whole point is that what they were promised was the Messiah, right? And the beautiful thing is we have that. We're not waiting for the Messiah to come. We are waiting for him to come back. But they did all of this through faith. And granted, we believe in Jesus through faith too, right? It's not like we're like not in faith also. But it's a different kind of faith, right? We have the Holy Spirit of Jesus inside of us. It casts out demons, heals the sick. That's Jesus through us. They didn't have that. The prophets could do things, like, don't get me wrong, like the Spirit of God was on them, but I just bit my lip. It was different. It's not what we get now. I just think you should really like reread verse 1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And just like really sit with, what does faith mean? What does faith look like? Where has God been faithful to us? We're going to lack in faith for the rest of our lives. We're never going to be perfect at it. But God is faithful. He cannot ever lose his faith. Yeah. So consider that tonight or in the morning. I know I've been doing late with these. It's not on purpose, just life. And yeah. I will see you tomorrow.